I lost your camera for a second. Oh, there we go.
Am I back?
You're back. You're good.
I'm recording, so we're
Drink a little red wine tonight.
there. You go. Drinking red ale.
Red ale. All right. Is that the Sierra Nevada red ale?
No, it's the. I think I've shown this before.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're talking about
The
that. Right?
Lord of the Rings Golem Red Ale, which I bought in the can. Like, it's got a sticker wrapped around it. Like anybody could print this out in their house. So I got it because I thought it was funny, and it turned out to be a super awesome good beer. So now I buy it all the time.
Like COVID beer made in somebody's basement.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Prints out the sticker labels.
Yeah, but they're big cans, so they're.
Oh, yeah, those are just reusable. You know, those are like old
22s or
Bud Light cans.
Yeah, probably.
Repurposed them. Nice. So yeah, lots happening since we last talked.
Yeah, you know, I don't know any of the stats. I'm sure they're up. I hear a lot about a lot of talk about things plateauing and peaking, and
yep.
And I said, how do you? I'm wondering, and I'm not doubting it, but I'm wondering how people know that. I mean,
I have no idea. I think we're looking at the numbers to have potentially peaked in Illinois this week, and that's just based on their projections, and they're hoping that that's right, and it'll go down. But the good news, I've got a person in our group, in my son's violin group, who's one of the parents is a doctor, so she'll give updates on the group text, like, hey, here's what's going on, and she said today it looks like we might be at our peak, which is good, and hopefully we're not needing to use the McCormick Place, which is the largest convention center in the Midwest, for the makeshift hospital, because that's what we had basically set it up. Since there are no events going on, the city of Chicago set it up as a hospital facility in case it was needed. So thousands of beds. So yeah, good that we don't need to use it. At least we don't now. So
you don't need to use it.
Fingers crossed that continues.
Yeah. Now, are we at 2 million? I have not.
Yeah, you know what? I'll pull up the numbers.
Pull the stats up.
It was interesting. I was reading about San Francisco this morning.
Oh, what about?
Like kind of a tongue-in-cheek take on the Niners, and
I saw that.
It's like, how many thousands of people did Garoppolo save by blowing the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Which, okay, maybe he did, because the parade for Kansas City was pretty small compared to like most parades. It was like, in fact,
it would have been crazy if San Francisco won.
Right, and everybody would have been like, that would have potentially been a huge uptick on the numbers, because that was really when the numbers just started to begin in the Bay Area.
Totally.
So, all right, so what do we got here? Woo! So 200,000 confirmed in New York City. 10,000 deaths in New York. 10,000, almost 11,000 deaths in New York City.
Damn.
68,000. So that's almost three. Basically looking at the New York State area, it's like almost 300,000 cases total, with upwards of 15,000 deaths total. Second place, as far as like that's New York, New Jersey, the Connecticut area, and then you got Massachusetts is the next one, and that's 28,000 total confirmed, with 957 deaths. So that's pretty low. Michigan has a lower number, 25,000, with 1,600 deaths. So they have almost twice the death rate of Massachusetts and still lower numbers. So that's weird. Like, you wonder if that has to do with just the economics, in the impoverished areas of Michigan.
I wondered. I'd love to be able to have like the full dashboard to break this stuff down, to be like, what was the average age range, and what was the pre-existing conditions, and what are their medical facilities like, and because it's a dark subject, but I want to understand the stats behind how things worked on this one.
Well, there's a number of them, and maybe we can do that for the next show. Just make sure we can dig apart some of because there's so many cool tools that are like. There's a really neat map these guys made in South Korea that talks about all the clusters all over the world, and then kind of, there's a number of people who've built maps similar to that. But digging into that data, trying to figure out what's beyond the map. Who are these people? If you're looking at the last on this list here of states that are kind of relevant, you've got Louisiana and Florida are both at about 21,500, where they're super low weeks ago. And these are the two places you have Mardi Gras, which was canceled, but they also had a lot of spring break stuff happening in Louisiana, and then Florida.
The Florida's spring break central though.
Yeah, and Florida, who knows what's going to happen, because Florida is
especially mixed with the elderly population there.
Yep.
Which I don't know the numbers. Maybe I'm wrong and that's a stereotype, but I always hear they have a higher average age going on down there.
That was kind of the consensus on the risk. It was like, okay, you got this area that is heavily populated with elderly people, and then you have the high risk individuals coming in for spring break, potentially putting them all at risk. So I can't imagine there's much interaction with the spring breakers and the elderly community. I've never had that when I've worked in Florida or gone to Florida, but it is, are we going to the same restaurants?
Yeah,
that type of thing.
Or supermarket,
South Dakota was something that I read about yesterday, which was an interesting cluster. South
No
Dakota,
way. Really?
They've got about 988 confirmed cases now, only 6 deaths, but there was a pork processing plant that one of the articles started with one of the ladies who worked there for 13 years quit because there's nothing being done. She's like, I think I'm going to get my family sick. And it turns out that a shitload of employees, like hundreds of employees, were positively infected. So they shut down the plant. That's like a town. It's a pretty small town, and that's probably 800 people who are working at that plant. And now that impacts the food supply for the rest of the nation. So I remember talking to you earlier. You said you had a pork butt tonight. You had a pork shoulder.
It was super on sale.
Might be more expensive next time you go.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know if that's gonna
maybe
trickle all the way to California.
All affected.
Hey, cook them hot enough.
Yeah, I slow cooked that disease off. Hopefully, it's good.
That's it. So yeah, interesting. South Dakota. It's not like a big. It's really just a cluster, and that's why they call it one of the biggest clusters, because it's just in this town, where they have 100 plus cases. So who knows what's going to happen of that? But anyway, so those are the kind of numbers. Let's see if I can get to the.
I was looking at the numbers last night, and I thought it was overall cases, but this doesn't sound to line up with what you just said. But I saw Wyoming, North Dakota, and Montana, and it was like, as far as like a color map, it was all one color, and everything else was like hotter red. Where there are more cases. So I'm like, oh, there's something about that like corridor, and I'm sure a lot of it is if you don't live close together.
And what 3 states were it? It was
North and South Dakota.
Yep.
Montana and Wyoming.
Yeah, it's probably maybe the nature of the businesses, because we're talking about factories and a lot of meat processing plants and things like that. Where you're processing meat, you're standing literally right next to somebody working all day, for your 10-hour shift.
Totally.
Sharing the same break room.
Dude, totally.
Those facilities, the facilities are usually pretty tightly run, so you're not like, there's no employee bathroom where it's like, oh, I get to have my own stall, or the executive bathroom or whatever. It's everybody's sharing, and you usually don't have that much time to be disappearing on a bathroom break during the production cycle when the food's coming down the line. So I would imagine that means when there's a break, everybody's going to the bathroom at the same time. It's clusters of people versus segregating that a little bit.
The world. If you're like in a line of production and everybody has their own job, if you got to take a break, then that breaks the whole thing down, right?
No, it's like it reminds me of what is it like the old I Love Lucy. It's gonna date me,
The
right?
Vita Benjamin.
Yeah, the chocolates, are going down the conveyor belt.
Oh,
and
the
they're trying
chocolates.
to put the
Yeah.
chocolates
That's what
into
I thought.
into the box, and and all of a sudden Lucy's distracted for a second, and then it's just like that's what would happen.
Oh,
It's crazy. Oh, so here the worldwide numbers are basically almost 2 million. That's just including the real numbers that China's given. So who knows what that number really is, but 2 million on the record officially right now, and then 125,000 deaths. So pretty significant death rate, and then about 500,000 recovered, which is great. But I'm seeing a number of articles pop up, and Peak Prosperity did a piece last night on reinfected numbers. So there's like a lot of speculation that either some of the tests aren't accurate towards the later, like when they're getting better, they're testing so low that they're getting false positives or false negatives rather. So who knows, man? That would be awful if we could get reinfected.
Awful. That'd be worst case. Well, I don't know worst case scenario, but that'd just be like a whole different trajectory.
Yeah.
Of hope,
Yeah, and Fauci's been in the news the last few days, doing some damage control for something he said, and somebody took him out of context, and he's like,
I feel like somebody took him out of context, but
he basically said, well, if we did things earlier, wouldn't we mitigate the death rate? And he's like, well, yeah, if we close things down earlier, less people would die. So then the takeaway is that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and now Trump made a decision, and so many people died because Trump made that decision. But Fauci, the next day came back and he's like, "Well, let me clarify. I recommended what I recommended, and President Trump has always said yes. So if anybody's to blame, it's like, oh, I should have said something 2 weeks earlier, but we didn't really know. We didn't know the data, So that's interesting. I think I get a little hot and cold when it comes to Fauci defending, some of the, defending Trump, and I think he's a legitimately good guy, and he cares, and he really wants to address some of the inconsistencies. But I do feel sometimes maybe he's speaking a little bit more because he knows that Trump's a little temperamental. There's a little. Can't be edgy. You can't walk the edge. You gotta stroke his ego a little bit and come back and be like, no, we're good. I'm not blaming anybody. I take responsibility for my role. But all right.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? The map. Let's see, Fauci and what else? What was it? I had something else I can't remember. Maybe it'll come up later. Here's something I sent you. Anybody remember the Demolition Man? Check out the chat. You can share that tweet. So the high five in Demolition Man was they did this like weird high five where they do this and they spin their hand.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
So I just put it in the chat there. It's not nothing crazy, but it's just funny. But the handshake, man, it's gone.
Yeah, Fauci was like, never handshaking again.
Right. Yeah, you see these stuff.
That's funny. I forgot Rob Schneider was in that movie, dude.
That's a good movie. It's not like a great movie, but it's one that's funny.
It's a good
to
movie.
Go back and watch. It's cool
it's like
because
a step down from Total Recall.
Yeah, it's like a funny Total Recall kind of, in its own right. Who was the bad guy in it? It was
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. That's right. He was a good bad guy. It was it was a great character as a bad guy. He wasn't a good bad guy.
I remember that movie a lot. Not a ton, but a lot. It was a good one.
We were talking about, I was chatting online with somebody I don't know how it came up. It's just a tweet that popped up about movies they're watching with their kids. I'm like, UHF. Yeah, he's gonna go watch UHF. And he's like, oh my god, Weird Al is the worst actor ever. I'm like, it's not about acting, man. Nobody's winning any Oscars. You know, the rest of the cast carries them. You know, there's some pretty high quality. You know, Kramer's in there. Who's the girl who played My Cousin Vinny? You know, the lead woman in My Cousin Vinny.
May?
Yeah, yep. She's
in there.
She's in there. Yeah, you know what? Who else? I'll pull it up. But UHF. For you guys, anybody watching?
Oh my gosh, dude, that movie is a classic.
So funny, just twisted funny, like humor. Where it's like, yeah.
Dude, yeah, I love Weird Al. He's great.
All right, who is it that's in here? No, I blew it. It's not Marissa Tomei.
I'm like, Marissa Tomei's not in that movie, but
you know what? It's the voice that I have in my head. I had this, I'm remembering the voice. It's Fran Drescher. So in retrospect, you know, they had that little similar high pitched voice going, but not, you know.
Oh my gosh, Fran Drescher. She's the investigative journalist.
Yes. Yep. And Kramer, Michael Richards, Kevin McCarthy, who's like the typical bad guy, you know.
Yes.
You know, the older guy.
Old white capitalist bastard.
Totally. Yeah, like he plays the best character. Like he probably has a son named Chet, something like that, right?
Totally right.
But yeah, good movie.
Dude, yeah. Kramer was good in that movie. Stanley Spadowski.
That's right, man. That was probably I think that might be my. In fact, I don't know. I don't. Might be my favorite Kramer character, or Michael Richards character.
There's not many.
You know, I like Seinfeld, but it was kind of a one-man show sometime with Seinfeld. You know, there was a little bit more depth to Stanley Spadowski. Yeah. And,
hi.
Hey, babe.
Do you have the iPad?
My daughter's coming to ask me if I have the iPad. I wonder when she'll figure it out that I'm on the iPad right now.
My face. Oh no, the green one with my face is the back.
Yeah.
If you had noticed that yet.
You want to come say hello?
Hi.
Hey, hello to everybody, Annabelle.
How you doing?
Hi.
Your
I have the headphone on, she said. How you doing?
Uh-oh. Your video. There we go. Technical difficulties.
I have to do a little stitching that together.
Yeah, we're back.
My daughter says goodbye.
Yeah. It's funny. Oh man, I already killed this bear.
I gotta remember to slow down and sip this wine, like wine, instead of like the beer I've been drinking.
Pounding it. Yeah. That's all right too. So I think it's worth mentioning our virtual happy hour on Sunday, Easter Sunday.
Awesome.
We started at 8 my time, 10 your time, and we finished midnight my time and 2 a.m. your time, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was almost 2 a.m. It was crazy. It was a great time.
Yeah.
So we reset the Zoom call like 5 different times. Yeah.
Every 40 minutes, Zoom without warning would be like killed. And it was funny like later in the night because we're like kind of planning around it and waiting for it, and like it was kind of funny, man, by the end of the night. So, but I suggest everybody do that. That was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. We had like 5 friends, maybe 4 of the friends, including us.
Yep, from high school.
Including us. And it was awesome.
Yep, old friends from high school. You know, we've all had like a group text, and you know maybe we'll chat online, some other media, whatever, every once in a while. But nothing like just getting the Zoom thing is great. You know, the grid view that they've got works out well, and they really do know how to hook you to make you want to pay for their service. I mean, 40 minutes is nothing.
40 minutes. They're like,
blew
through that.
What's enough time to get a conversation going?
Right.
Then we'll cut it right when it starts to get good. I'm like, all right, cool.
I wonder how many businesses right now are like deal with that, like don't buy the full version and get cut in the middle of like a business call. Just be like, oh.
Well, it's funny because like all week, Stacy's been She's been telling me, "Oh, I have a call with one part of her group," and every time she says she's got that part of the group, she's like, "Oh, it's only scheduled for 40 minutes." So last night, I'm like, "It's scheduled for 40 minutes because your supervisor, whoever's running the calls, probably didn't get it paid, and he's just going for it, And
Oh
I was
God.
like, "Oh," she's like, "Really? That totally makes sense." I was like, "Why is it always 40 minutes? That's such a weird number."
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you send out the Outlook meeting invite, you're like 40 minutes.
Do your
Okay.
meetings end abruptly?
Yeah, I know, right? Ours,
It was so fun.
we do GoToMeeting or Teams. GoToMeeting is pretty easy for us though because it's a relatively small group and it's really clean on every device. And we've always had that, so we just use GoToMeeting. That works.
Yeah,
we have
X.
Here's the last news item I wanted to bring up. It's gonna happen, man. We were talking about it.
What are you talking about?
Trump's pulling the plug on the WHO.
Oh yeah, on the WHO. Yeah, I saw that.
Good. So
I think it's like the first time that everybody is collectively together in America for the most part, dude. This is as united as we have ever been in like a long time.
So it's totally clear that President Trump must have watched our episode 3 and 7. Because we brought up these points very clearly and said the WHO is they're screwing everybody.
Yeah.
So we did our part.
It's probably not Trump, but it was probably somebody in his administration, and then they showed him the video.
It's Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
Their ideas, his team's ideas are his ideas.
Now that you mention it.
You say, "We did this," and he goes, "I did this." So that's cool, though. Good for him. You know what? That's what we needed to do. And who knows what's going to happen now. I thought maybe they would have held that leverage a little bit more to find out some more information about what happened with China and the WHO. So maybe you could have used that as a little bit of a carrot on stick and say, "Hey, tell us what really happened."
Right.
So now we're probably, but who knows? Maybe this
Trump's
is the real
just
carrot.
like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, right. Like, I don't even care. I don't care what the excuses are. I don't. It was like, you guys spent 200,000, or you spent in 2 years. It was like $200 million in travel. What?
That's ridiculous.
Like you spent. There's an article I read that they spent more money in 2017 on travel than they did fighting any disease.
Dude, they just need to use Zoom for 40 minutes.
Right. Well, now after this,
save all that money.
So that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, "You know what? This is why we suck so bad the last couple of months because we haven't been traveling like we normally do. I usually get like first class, 5-star hotels, and I can really do my work and make the place safe."
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's all I got, really.
Cool. No, that's
side,
good.
What's happening at home? Home's a little crazy. I'm just getting really involved more in my daughter's daily, kind of school. We did a little bit of that today. We spent like 4 hours actually on history, and I think it's just different. Everybody's different, everybody learns differently. And I think this is definitely much harder for her than it is for my son, who's okay just going in and knocking out exactly what the teachers need, maybe no more, no less, but he's like, "I'm going to get straight A's, and that's just the way it's going to be because I know what the expectations are. I'm going to meet those expectations and a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to back off and go play Minecraft go screw around." So I give him that.
They gave my kids today the update that school is now pass or fail and not a grade.
Yep. That's where my daughter is. But we found it's less, for me, it's less about the actual grade. It's more about her coming out of this with such a light end of her 6th grade year, because the difference between 6th and 7th grade is huge academically. So if we just kind of let the things fizzle out over the next month and a half, she's going to hit the ground running in the fall and be like, "Holy shit, this is a lot of work."
Yeah.
So, we're going to push a little harder over the next couple months and see.
is your middle school or junior high or whatever it is start in 7th grade?
No, she's in middle school now, so it's 6th grade.
Okay.
They're just in the past.
Homework up.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not as heavy until 7th grade.
Okay.
And it's weird because my son went to the school, and 7th and 8th grade was pretty heavy as far as homework and things. And then he got to high school, and his workload was a little lower, even for AP classes. So I'm like,
oh,
all right.
Wow. My kids' AP classes were always like nightmare for work.
Yeah, we'll see.
Was he junior now or sophomore?
He's sophomore. Yeah, sophomore now. So he's doing his thing. Orchestra has been a bummer because he's not playing. I mean, obviously he can't play.
All right.
He's got some assignments and stuff, but nothing that's really challenging him. You know, he had some cool concerts that he was going to do. He was going to be in the talent show with his buddy playing electric guitar. That's not going to happen.
Oh, what a bummer.
So, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. I was going to, my nephew had got an internship at a company in San Francisco that is like a block away from my work. And he was going to stay with my folks who live like a minute from me. So I was going to be able to ride the bus with my nephew every day and
nice.
take
Yeah.
the city, do that stuff. But I'm sure that's all not going to happen now. It's unfortunate. I'm bummed about that. That would have been fun.
Yeah, those opportunities, you know, that, yeah, you're not going to, and it is, it's like those times, you know, there's only so many times you can have that when you're growing up, like from high school to college, and so many opportunities you can let pass another year before you're now living your normal life and it's not an option anymore.
Yeah.
Or you're in your 2nd year in college and you don't have the flexibility that you did, you know, coming out, you know, your 1st year or whatever it might be. So, but yeah, so that's kind of it, you know. Did fix the scooter again, and then I had it break down again. So I'm like, I need to like replace everything in that, you know, in the gas line now, because it's just some weird fuel thing. So
that's the worst.
It stinks.
No.
So I ended up going out there and letting it run for like an hour, and then my neighbors are like, "Why do you keep riding up and down the block?" And
like working up my hog.
that's it. It'd be a lot cooler if it was a. Actually, I don't know. Probably not. They'd probably be really pissed off if I was riding around a big motorcycle.
Especially if you're leaving it there running for an hour.
Right? So yeah, that's all I got. I think we'll do next time is we'll pull up some data next time and dig into some data, and hope that the curve is truly flattening.
Right. That we've peaked. That the peak is behind us.
Yes, that we've peaked. Absolutely. Yeah, not just flattening, that we've peaked. You're absolutely right.
All right, man. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go get some pulled pork. It's waiting for me downstairs.
Get some pulled pork.
Empty guy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
See you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
All right, brother.